I still have a little bit of a ghetto setup, but trust me, it's gonna get better, you guys. That looks pretty good. I like it. Nice. Sweet.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly, I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to be my own worst enemy. There's no risk if you don't try at anything, so I'ma just keep buying everything. See you in the next life.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another one. I got my friend James here again, and today, for this one, we're gonna be talking about cults. Different questions to see if he knows a lot about the cults here in Utah.
Spoiler, I don't know a lot.
Yeah, most people don't, but have you seen any of the documentaries though? Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, Escaping Polygamy, The Handmaid's Tale, things like that.
I have heard of them. I haven't seen any of them except for yours, because when you told me you were on Escaping Polygamy, I had to look it up. And so I watched your episode. But that had that followed you, and it followed like some other people in it too. And that it was like a 3-part thing. I saw I watched it through YouTube or something. But I've seen your episode at least. So
sweet. Yeah. I honestly didn't watch it for the longest time, and then for my YouTube channel they were like, oh, we should do a reaction of it. So I went and watched it for the first time years later, and it was very emotional, but I did not like how I looked. I looked like such a little kid that didn't know anything. I looked very dumb, honestly, and my speech was horrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
bad at talking.
Between you and me, and I guess everyone who has to watch this too, I was like, no way Eskil sounded like this before. Because and I know you've always talked normal, but in that video you sounded like a little kid, or like some of your words were like funny, and I was like, what the heck? Did you like grow up with like speech problems you didn't know about, or like is that just like?
I think a big part of it is that, well, first of all, I grew up in a cult, and you could tell, really. And then just the fact that, they don't really do a whole lot. As long as you can get your work done, then they're not going to worry about it, you know? Just like that with spelling. I feel like everyone from the group so bad at spelling because it's not a priority. You can still do all the construction jobs. You can still do the things that you need to
so
do
it's like putting you to work and building up their organization is more important than you as a person and growing and learning.
Yep.
As long as I've known you, you've sounded fine.
Sweet.
But it was just, when I watched the video, I was surprised. So I guess that therapy really paid off.
Okay, so for the big question, if you had to join a cult, which cult would you join? And then we're going to talk about some of the classifications of a cult, because everyone has different
Right. Well, keyword is have to. I feel like the word cult means it's not something that most people would want to do. I don't really know of many cults anyway, so I would probably say if there's one out there that's related to soccer, I might be tempted to join that one, because I love soccer. Okay. I watch that, I read about it, I play video games about it. I might as well start my own at this point, so I guess something soccer related, I might join that cult.
Nice. That's interesting, because you probably could. I feel like people take sports like a religion a lot of the time.
100%. Oh, yeah, the money in it's crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's wild. Okay, so then, hearing this, the definition of a cult, according to Google, is a system of religious venerations and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. Or, there's also the definition of a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. So with those definitions, would it still remain the same? Because that, honestly, with that definition could be almost anything.
So basically, with that definition, it means as long as you're not in the majority, I guess it could be a cult. It's just something.
Or as long as
people think it's weird.
Do something that, to the majority of people, it seems weird. That's basically it. And the funny thing is, in one of my videos, I said that if I had to join one, I would join Costco. And the reason for that is because there was someone that did a description of Costco without saying it was Costco, and made it sound so sketchy. Talking about
exclusive membership, you have to pay to get in. You have to show your membership card at the door, or else you're kicked out. Yeah, I guess you can.
Yeah. So
you grew up in a cult. Do you think people taking the word cult and making it not a serious thing, Costco's a cult, does that kind of offend you? Hey man, I came from a cult, it was hard, it sucked. Does that ever bug you think?
I think people kind of see that in the reverse way. At least for me, because I came from a cult, I lived through through it, and it's fine to simplify it. It's fine to like joke about it and stuff. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Some things will like bother me, especially like when I realized and saw how loving some fathers are to their kids. Then it's like
Totally.
that like will stab me sometimes and be like, dang, that's how it can really be.
But I'm sure that would like motivate you to be like the best dad you can be. You're like, man, that's why I feel like most people who come from like harder like backgrounds or whatever, it's like I want to make sure like my kids never deal with that type of thing, you know what I mean?
Do you know of any of the cults in Utah, or the names or anything?
I know of like, I know FLDS is a thing.
Oh yeah, that's probably one of the most well known because they are one of the most extreme, I would say.
Okay, is that the Warren Jeffs guy? Okay.
Yep, Warren Jeffs.
And then there's the Order, I know because of you, the like, or whatever.
Yeah, just slightly different. Well, that's their official name, but honestly, they never use that name. They probably only use it for tax purposes or something. But the name they use the most often is the Davis County Co-op for some reason. It like basically sounds so unrelated to them. And then the general news and regular people know them as the Kingston polygamous group.
Okay, so but like when you're like, when you go to church and live with, like, do your thing, people call it the Order. Like,
yeah, everyone that's a member calls it the Order.
From the outside, like, no one really knows it's called the Order, except for people on the inside know that.
Exactly.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, and I think that's a part of it. They try to make it very confusing, so it's super hard to pinpoint. For example, their church building is, like, registered as, like, 3 or 4 different things. It's registered as a school, as a religious building, and as a company, like like the Bountiful Baby Company or something like that. So it's like literally, if someone tries to go and visit this public church that's like for tax purposes and write-off, they register as a public church, but then they can still kick them off the property because technically it's also a school and like a business and other things.
It's like a lot of red flags.
Yeah, they use different loopholes so that they can just do what they want, basically.
Crazy.
So, but that's also happened with this school. Did you ever hear about the school that they started?
No.
They used to have their own private school, and no one would really mess with them because it's private, you know?
When
like,
you say used to, like, when was the school, when did it start, when did it get shut down?
Well, it's still running, actually, so it's not shut down, but it started when I was, I think, I don't know, probably a year before I was ready to go to school, because my older sisters went.
How many kids go to that school?
So anywhere between like 500 to 600.
Oh, it's big! Wow.
Well, it's just all of the kids from the group.
It's here in Utah.
Yeah.
Did you go to it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's called Ensign. So they just used a common name that's other companies here. But they had it private, and it's like people were still frustrated because it wasn't like up to code and stuff, but because it was private, they got away with it. But now they started a high school, like a junior high / high school that is public, and they use like state funds and everything for it. But they still are like, there's only white kids that go to it, and 99% of them are all Order kids. They have like 2 people in it, 2 kids that aren't Order members, just so they can say it's public and stuff.
And they can get like government funding and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's crazy. A big thing that's on the news and everything right now.
So would you say that it's like growing still, you think?
Only from within. Only because of all the babies.
Right. No one joins it. It's just like growing for. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. There was one family that joined it like 3-4 years ago or something, but he left the AUB polygamous group and then joined the Order polygamous group. So they
one cult to another. That's different. No one goes from non-cult to cult. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know they are so about having as many babies as you can that it's like, if you don't have a child every year when you're married there, then it's like they basically look down on you.
That is so miserable.
Constantly doing it. It's
being
crazy.
Pregnant all the time does not sound fun. And I guess it's easy too. It's like, how many like wives does everyone have?
Well, that's we can go into this a lot, but
okay.
Basically from like the doctrine side, then it's strongly encouraged to have at least 3. Because 3 is like one of the celestial numbers, you know, there's 3 heavens, so to more guarantee that you go to the top kingdom, then you want 3 wives. And now they've changed the doctrine a little bit. When I was still there, they said you have to have 3 wives to get the celestial kingdom. Now they're saying because there's so few women and they're having lots of issues with getting everyone married, basically, they're saying now that technically if you live your life and do everything you can and constantly try to have 3 wives, but you don't end up with it, you still can.
Constantly try to have 3 wives. Will you marry me? Will you marry me? Please.
No, it's a common thing. Like, they encourage you to be, if you are not married and you're like basically 16 or older, you should be proposing 16 to girls all the time. So it's like very pursed, basically.
That's crazy. So, wow.
Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna have to cut this part out, but
no way.
And
so I knew one when you were on your mission. You were telling me how like everyone older had run away, but he was like kind of not running away. So he's married. He's staying in it.
He got married,
sucks,
and he's like, so he's already having his first kid. First of all,
no way, dude.
And he's just.
Do you still talk to him a lot or no?
When I can, but ever since I started doing YouTube, my family like has a hard time. Well, mostly my parents. One of my younger siblings, I'm not gonna say who he is, but like he kind of like gives me the details on what's going on and stuff. And he's like, dude, in every family home evening that we have, in all of the meetings, every time my dad's like sharing stuff with the whole family, he talks about you and your videos and talks about how we need to make it stop. We need to like how much you're hurting the family and just how bad I am. Basically. Good. It's like
that's so awesome. Crazy. Actually, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So it's definitely being noticed. And the last time I went home,
that's what you gotta cut out. I feel like
yeah. Anyway. The last time I went home though, my dad just freaked out.
When was that?
This was like probably 5 days ago. I went home just because. So I always try to like play the game of like I'm just a normal person trying to make things work out. You know, like I'm not doing anything super crazy. Right. And my mom's always like, yeah, you're welcome home. Like, let's try to keep a relationship and stuff. Which then I know she goes and turns around and like says to my dad, like, oh, I'll never like talk to Eskel and this and that. You know, like she tries to live this double life. Right. But I always try to call her on it, and I just show up at the house. So I'll go there and stuff. And this last time I walked in the door, and my mom was like, what are you doing there? Like freaking out. And I was like, shoot, Dad must be home. And sure enough, he literally was running down the hallway and like, get out of here, like telling me that I'm not welcome there.
Oh
like,
my god!
Trying to get me to leave and stuff, and like I didn't leave. I was like nervous because he was yelling and stuff, but I was just like, why do you feel that way? And like I like tried my best to like de-escalate it and stuff, but we ended up having this hour-long conversation and just
kind of pick his brain and see how he works.
Yeah, that too, because I wanted to ask him questions and like go through this like conversation so that he might see how unreasonable he's being, you know?
100%.
Because he's just getting super mad, and I do know that like, well, I'm pretty sure the reason he's extra upset right now is because on my last video I talked about how both of his first and second wife has kicked him out and like thrown stuff at him before. And so clearly there's a lot of reasons why I don't trust him fully and like, you know, don't see him as this perfect father-like figure that he wants me to see him as. And so I was just trying to explain that, and then
that's wild.
Really mad. And it's extra crazy because before I posted that video, I've gone to the house and there was tension, and sometimes he would just leave or like or sometimes he wouldn't be there and it would be no big deal. But like he would somewhat allow it, but now it's like
now that it's like about him specifically, he's like not having it.
Yeah, so
crazy.
It's kind of crazy, and it's basically not due to their religious beliefs, you know, because the doctrine is someone leaves, it's worse than me being an outsider. I'm a son of perdition. I knew the gospel and denied it, so it's like for them to allow me in the house and stuff, it's basically supposed to be forbidden, but they allow it, you know, like it's happened before, and like they of course, it's weird because I know they don't want it to happen, but like they know how unreasonable and heartless it is for a loving parent to just, you know, be super harsh and like basically kick me out. 100%. So they try not to, but they still try to do it in their own other ways. And then now when they're upset with my dad especially, he just doesn't care and he's just furious. So he will kick me out at any time. but I don't know. It's interesting.
One thing that I remember you telling me was that, and I always wanted to do this, I said, okay, if this is a cult, then I wouldn't feel bad if I were to like mess with them. Or he told me that how getting groceries work, if I remember correctly, this has stuck with me for years. You told me this once, and I was just blown away. Is that there's like an order run type of store, and you go up and you say, hey, I want this, I want that, I want this, and they like write your name down and like bill it to your parents or something, and then you just walk away with it.
Yeah.
So like I would love to go get free milk, just like something small. Just go down there, hey, I want 3 gallons of milk, charge it to this guy, thanks. Like, you know what I mean? Like
that would be so funny. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be working on this video where I like stand out of the order company in the John's Marketplace, the grocery store, and like talk about the company funny and like how it's ran by this Kingston polygamous group. But it would be so funny if you would be willing to like put a secret camera on and
so
go
down.
in and like film it or something.
Dude, I'd be willing to do anything. I will go undercover. I will come to a Sunday meeting. I will give a talk in church. Like, I am literally like,
oh my god,
so down.
dude! If I could figure out when like the testimony meeting is,
Yes.
where you can just walk up and
Tell me. I'll be like, yeah, I'm traveling, and I found the nearest church, so I hope it's okay if I speak. Just act like I don't know what's going on, like I don't know it's a cult or anything. I would be so willing to do that.
That would be so funny.
Stay tuned, I guess.
Here's the thing: if we did that before this like goes on YouTube and everything, they literally wouldn't know who you are, and some of them would think it's like a God sent sign. You know, this
Oh my
person
gosh.
coming to our church, he's meant to be here. You know, it's like especially if you like just act like you love it there, like you have no idea what's going on, and they'll be like, we can like persuade this guy or something.
And then they find out that I've been stealing their milk. That's where our milk's been going.
Oh man, this could be some really good ideas, man.
Yeah,
oh my god,
I'm down. You can like,
oh man,
you can like wait to post stuff about me if you really want to. I don't care. You can release this stuff whenever you want to, but I'm down to be your undercover guy.
Okay, I think we gotta at least give it a shot. But my thought is like, maybe we gotta start with the church one first, because
The church what, like the meeting?
you going to the meeting, you know?
Okay,
because if that works out, then it's like you could show up to the grocery store and they would probably welcome you.
Hey,
you know? Like,
hey, have an extra dozen. Why not? You know.
well, they won't be that nice.
Okay.
They're pretty pictures, so they don't give away stuff. But in fact, did you know to join the cult it costs $5,000 to join the religious organization? Isn't that
I
weird?
did not know that.
That
But that never
family-
really happens, right?
Well, that
People are
family
born
that
in.
joined,
That one
they
oh
did,
yeah, that's right.
Mhm. And there's been times when my cousin Joe, like he left and he was on his claim polygamy, and then he asked his dad, just because he was kind of like contemplating going back, even though he didn't think he really would, but he asked his dad, like, if I wanted to, can I come back? And he said, if you pay the $5,000 fee, we'll let you come back. And it was
Wow.
like, what the freak, man?
Well, hey, if you keep getting kicked out of your dad's house, just give him $5,000. I'm sure they'll smooth it over. You know what I remember too? It's just randomly coming back to me now. Is one other story you told me is that when you were like 14, you were working in the sweatshop, like newspaper or something you were making, and I was
Well,
like,
at a
holy
print
crap.
shop, yeah.
Newspapers,
Printing
and you were
papers
making
and stuff.
money, and it would all go to the church, and then one day you're like, you know what? I've been putting money in for 2 years. I think I can go ask them for a car, and you researched and found like a nice car. It's a good deal. You're like, hey, can I get this car? They're like, no, and you're like, really? And then from then on, you never gave them your money. You just kept it all to yourself. I remember that so well. I thought that was so funny. You're like, what?
Piece of crap, little Honda.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
And they're like, there you go, let's let you buy that one. It's like, okay, I see
Insane.
how it is. But when you're young, you convince yourself that it's the kingdom of God, you're working for a purpose, all these good things. And it's like, they would like have me operate like these big old machines and stuff. Like, it was kind of crazy.
14-year-old
but-
driving a forklift around.
I'm sure that happens.
Nothing
in the
to see
warehouse,
here.
man.
That's crazy.
They put people to work, and then the big awakening for me was that like I thought I was making all this money. I was gonna have all this money to like prepare for my family when I get married at 15 and all this stuff. You know, like I was gonna be ready, working hard, and then I go and realize that first of all, I only had like $1,000 on my statement, the account that they supposedly saved my money in, and then I can't even use it. Like, I have to beg them to spend it on anything. And it helped me realize what their priorities were.
Church.
If you could
Yeah,
get into
yeah,
the
yeah,
church,
yeah.
man, they literally have people, like, in the parking lot, like, kind of watching and stuff. Like, they're not, as far as I know, they're not super strict, but it's like, you know, everyone somewhat recognizes people, and if you weren't like as white as you are, then they would kick you out.
So like you just drive some kind of car, and then the gay
just-
people just kind of wave and keep going, you know.
Kind of try to blend in, and then I bet you'll get away with that. I would think. Like, I guess but see, this will be the test. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they asked you to leave, because there has been times people have wandered in when I remember being in church and a bunch of skater kids came and walked inside because they were just like skating around the parking lot or something, and they saw everyone walking in, so they come inside and sat down, and then Brother Daniel, one of the leader's brothers, went over to them and said, hey, you need to leave, this is a private event or whatever. So they'll probably say that to you, but I'm curious how long it'll take them, or like how far you could get, or all that stuff.
If I'm like dressed, like ready, like that might be my story. Is I'll now I'm just traveling, and I'm this is like the closest church I found, and I just wanted to go somewhere today.
Yeah, I think that could. I think we could pull it off. Maybe that would be so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the next thing is, I just gotta figure out how to get like an incognito camera.
Yeah, I mean, I can wear a hoodie. It's gonna be winter time. So, oh wait, no, but to the church, you're right.
I
don't know.
But we could figure out something, because even
put it in my shirt pocket and cut a little hole.
Yeah, I was gonna say these are pretty good quality, and so if you have it in your pocket and just have that sticking out,
dude,
it's just a phone. Most people won't think too much about it, you know.
Yeah,
so it's
genius.
like, okay, man, this will be so interesting. Oh, dang. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna have to talk more about that later.
Okay.
But
cool.
We'll try to come back to that. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned. We're gonna be doing more future videos with him.
And I pray, all I need
Yep.
days. Yeah, all I need are some better days. Cause all I want, and I pray.
That looks pretty good.
Better days.
Nice.